So welcome back to Seat at My Table. Today I'm joined by Cooke, the founder of the Lonely Girls Club. And as I always do, I'd love to start, Holly, by asking you how you describe yourself in 3 words.
Yeah, as we were talking about when I got here, it's a really tricky question. I think the first thing that comes to mind is kind. The second one is determined. And then I think it's a really tricky question. Third word to describe me. So the other word that comes to mind is loyal, which is a funny one, but yeah. So yeah, kind, determined, and loyal, none of which sounds super exciting. But
I think those are lovely, lovely words. And I think you had to be determined to create what you have done today. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because I think I associate loyalty with like good friends and obviously relationships. And I think that is really apt considering what you have built and why. And so for those people who don't know what the Lonely Girls Club is, I would love for you to describe it how you see it. Because for people outside, it's this amazing community that is basically bringing women together, really tackling the loneliness epidemic, and also just getting people to try different activities and things. It's like this super fun, amazing thing that you've built. But when people ask you, I'd love to hear how you would describe it in your own words.
I think you just did it there. That was great. I can go home. The Lonely Girls Club is a community to help women connect, make friends, make life less lonely. Is a safe space for women to say, you know what, I'm feeling a bit disconnected, or I'm feeling lonely, or I would want to try something new, or I want to find others with similar interests as me. And I often go back to the idea of the Lonely Girls Club really is all about telling women that they're not alone. Which the name is kind of in a way a bit of an oxymoron in that regard, but actually it's just about women knowing that what they're going through and what they live through, they're not alone in that, even if often society or our brains can make us think we are.
Yeah, and I think that's so important. I actually love the fact that it's called the Lonely Girls Club because, like you said, the word lonely and club doesn't really mesh because there's obviously more than one of you.
Yeah.
But I think it's unbelievable how many people actually are lonely but feel like they're the only ones. And so I know you've spoken a bit about this before, but from what I've read and I think what you've said previously is it really stemmed from when you moved to London and you found yourself, not surrounded by your friends and wondering kind of who to turn to. So what was that like? Because I believe you came to pursue a career in fashion, is that right?
Yeah, so I think loneliness has been something which I've kind of battled with and lived with and journeyed with for a good portion of my life. And it's looked very different at different stages of my life. But I moved to London when I was about 22. So I checked on last night actually. My 7-year anniversary of moving to London is next week.
Wow.
But I moved totally solo. My degree was in fashion communication and promotion. I wanted to work in fashion. Either I wanted to go and do social at Topshop, or I wanted, I don't know if anyone remembers or you remember Company magazine back in the day. Or I was like a diehard Company magazine fan. I wanted to either like work there at something or work at like Topshop, or which obviously doesn't really exist anymore, which like is so heartbreaking. And the fact that Topshop on Oxford Street is now an IKEA is the most bizarre thing ever to me. I moved down here, and in the end, I got a job, like a 3-month internship that was paid, which was like gold just back in the day.
Yeah.
But it was a heart health technology company. So the furthest from fashion that you could get, but it was in marketing, and it was a startup, which I really liked the idea of because that meant you could really learn things and get under the bonnet of what was going on. And it was a foot in the door. It got me to London, and they were going to pay me amazing. And then the idea was, okay, this will be my first job, and then I'll move on from there. And I moved in with family friends who are my parents' age, who were lovely, and we had dinner together, and we would watch Bake Off together and play games. But for me, London was this incredible city that I'd always dreamed of. It'd always been my goal to live in London. It'd always been like the one thing I'd wanted to do. I had like the Devil Wears Prada, but in London in my head. And I'm a big music girly. I'm a big musicals. I love a cocktail, I love a wine bar. And London's filled with it. There's always something going on. It doesn't matter like what corner you turn. Even the studio that we're in today, as I say, like I was walking along like, where am I going? And then, oh my gosh, this amazing space is here. London is that in a nutshell. But I didn't want to, and I'd got very comfortable and have over the years got very comfortable in my own company and do things alone. I'm a big champion of that. But going to the theatre or going to the cinema on my own, fine. going to that really cool pop-up cocktail bar on my own felt slightly different.
Yeah.
So I just need to find some people to go and do these things with, and it can't just be me. And that was kind of the beginning of where Lonely Girls Club came from.
Yeah. And I love that. And I think it is funny how when you are in a really busy space where there's so much to do, it can make you feel more lonely. You know, it's this idea of, you know, you feel most lonely when you're in a busy room, surrounded by people and having a good time. And I think living in London is amazing. I love living in London. But there is almost this pressure because there is so much to do. There's this like fear of missing out, and you almost feel like you're wasting your time more because it's like, well, I should be going out all the time because there's so much to do.
You want to make the most of it.
Exactly, yeah. And so, of course, there are quite a few people who would be feeling lonely and, you know, wanting to do these things, but wouldn't necessarily then create a community of like hundreds of thousands of people. So what was then the next step? Like, what did that moment actually look like when you were kind of sat in London? You were obviously having these thoughts, thinking, you know, I can't be the only one. What was then the first step that you took to actually try and find your people in London?
Yeah, so Lonely Girls Club was never meant to be what it's become. This was never the idea, but it's beautiful that it has. But for me, I literally did what loads of us do when we've got a problem. I Googled it. How to make friends in London. And it turns out whenever I tell the story, so many people have done that too. I've Googled it and now put it into TikTok, on Reddit. And at the time, there was nothing in this space. Like, obviously at the minute, run clubs are booming, book clubs are booming. There was nothing.
Yeah.
And if you were religious, pretty easy for you. If you were maybe sporty, back then you could join a netball team. Like I think Go Mammoth was probably just in its hate, like starting to kind of grow. But none of that was for me. And the only thing at the time, 7 years ago, that came up when I did all this Googling was Bumble BFF, which is the dating portion of the Bumble dating app. No, the friendship portion of the Bumble dating app. And at the time, they had three. One that was for networking, one that was for dating, one was friendship. Obviously, most people just know the dating app. I don't even know if the networking arm of it exists. The friendship ones is, I think, believe still there. So I got on that. I was like, oh, wait, there is other people that want to make friends too. There is other women out there. Okay. But for me and my personality, with my level of anxiety, meeting up with a stranger one-on-one for a friendship date. I mean, meeting up for it with a stranger one-on-one for a date in the first place was like a big thing for me. But a friendship date is even more scary. And I've heard lots of horror stories, and went back and forth of what do I do, because I need to find my people, I need to meet people, I need to get out there. But this app thing, the way that this works, just doesn't suit me and my personality. So I had a bit of a thought, what if you get 5 or 6 of those girls together? What if we could go for coffee, go for lunch, go for dinner, go for theatre, go to a gig? Because there's safety in numbers. If one person's really, really quiet, with at least 4, 5, 6 people is enough to keep a conversation going. It feels a bit more comfortable in that kind of environment, or for someone like me, versus one-on-one and you're like, oh my word, we've got nothing in common. You can't, when you're on a date with someone, if there's not a vibe, you just kind of say, you were great, there's not really a vibe. You can't say that on a friendship kind of capacity. So I just had this idea. I was like, well, what if I just set up a little group? We go out for pancakes, or well, I'd got this list as long as my arm, a place to want to go in London. I was like, right, we'll just start ticking them all off. We'll do that. 4 or 5 of us will, I'll pick a date, we'll go. And I thought it was going to die within 3 months. I still at this point thought I was the only one that was feeling so lonely, so isolated. My hope was if I can meet one friend, they can introduce me to their friends, they'll introduce me to their friends, and it'll spiderweb. And 7 years later, it didn't die. And we're still going. And the name, I literally just, I think, was me trying to take the mick out of myself a bit and turn something which is stereotypically negative into a positive. And that was the little beginning on a very, I remember it really clearly. I lived in an attic room, and it was torrentially raining, a grey November night, like the worst kind of November night you can have. I was like, I just got to do something about it. If I do it and it goes wrong, I make no friends. I'm in the exact same position if I didn't do it.
I think that's still so brave though, because that is a scary thing. And it's funny because I really agree with what you're saying, where a friendship date almost seems scarier than a romantic date. And I think it is because there's this idea that, well, you're going to meet some people on a date that you're not going to vibe with, and that's fine. That's very normal. Whereas with friends, it's a lot harder. And I think because it's less talked about, and, it's a really tricky thing to put yourself out there and actually, just meet people. And I think there is also this taboo around saying, I am lonely and I want to make friends.
Absolutely. I think loneliness, there is such taboo around it.
Yeah.
Such taboo around loneliness, around people reaching out and saying, I'm looking for connection, I'm looking for community. It's just not something that is talked about. It can be viewed as very negative. It can be viewed as, well, what's wrong with you? And often case, nothing. It's life circumstance, it's situational, it's the people in your class at school weren't your kind of person.
Yeah.
It's you go to uni and don't click with your housemates. It's all your friends went to uni and you didn't go to uni.
Yeah.
It's you've moved to a new city for work and you don't know anyone. It's your best friends are all getting married, having kids, buying houses, and you're not there yet.
Yeah.
It's your kids have all gone to school and you're suddenly an empty nester, or your kids have gone to uni. Loneliness is so normal. It's so common. I think one of the most recent stats was something along the lines of 50% of surveyed Brits feel lonely at least some of the time, if not more regularly than that. Yeah. It's so normal. We just don't talk about it because it can feel so taboo. It can feel so embarrassing to say, I don't have my girl gang. I don't have a best friend. And it's so normal. Yeah. But the problem is when you are lonely and you're in that place, it's a bit of a self-fulfilling cycle in your head. Yeah. Like, oh, well, I'm lonely. I don't know where to reach out to. I don't know who to go to. I don't have my people. So I don't know what to do. I don't know how to change this. And that can feel really scary.
Yeah, it was really interesting because, like I mentioned before we started, my mum was up this weekend and I was talking about how I was going to come and interview you. And she was talking about how after university she stayed in the city where she went to university with my dad because they met at uni. But all of their friends basically left and went on to do their things. And my dad was playing sport all the time. And she was like, I was so painfully lonely. And she was like, I just didn't know how to make friends. Like I'd go to the gym, but obviously that's kind of a difficult place. Or she loves like art and painting, but she was like stereotypically the people who were going to these art classes were a lot older. And, you know, there wasn't like a friendship that she was building. And it was like this idea that you almost, if you don't have that, because I think it's very like coincidental as well. So for example, some people go to uni and find that group of friends. Like you're put in a random room in first year and you could either find your best friends or your enemies. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's so, you have no control over it. And so it's funny that we beat ourselves up if we don't find that group of friends, or, you know, like you said, we end up in a situation where friends have left, and it's amazing how we can internalize it and start to lose self-esteem and question if there's something wrong with us. And so I guess, so you've got these girls to meet up, you're starting to tick off this list in London of places that you want to go. How did that then grow into what it is today? What did that look like? And when was the moment that you thought, okay, I'm actually going to almost build out a structure around this to make it bigger than myself?
Yeah, so it was, as mentioned, Lonely Girls Club was never meant to be a big thing. Yeah. It was never meant to be what it is now, which is one of the UK's largest communities for women. We've just opened our 7th city branch.
It's amazing.
150,000 community members across the country. It was never meant to be that. And it's beautiful it's become that. Yeah. And it's been a combination of hard work, no sleep, determination and me realising that this is needed and this helps. Yeah. So actually I can't stop now because for the first sort of year and a bit, obviously this was pre-COVID, I was just having a great time, meeting people, going to cool places, making friends, connecting. COVID then hits and there's lots of Facebook groups out there. There's lots of groups on different apps, different platforms, different Discord servers, all these things. But the difference that we had was that we ran the in-person events. This wasn't just a digital thing. Because for me, my story was I'd got amazing friends that I made at uni, but they all lived across the country. We kind of similar to what you were saying that your mum experienced. Yeah. We all kind of all spread out. I came down to London. One person went to like Oxfordshire. Another girl lives up in Leeds. And we're still best friends. Like I've been bridesmaid for one of them. Another one we're just booked in to go to see her for her 30th at the end of the year. We all see each other we talk really regularly. We all love each other a lot. But my issue was I don't need more digital friends. Yeah. I don't need more pen pal friends. I don't need more friends that we catch up every couple of months. I need friends that if we've had a bad day, give them a ring, go, let's go for a drink after work. Or, oh my gosh, there's an amazing gig happening at the weekend. Do you want to go? And that's a slightly different kind of friendship. And for me, the difference of what we do and what we did and what we've kind of grown into with Lonely Girls Club is that we run the in-person events. Because I found that getting women in a room, if you put a bunch of women in a room together, put their phones down, whether they come for a drink, they play some games, they do colouring, they do craft club, they go to the theatre, women are really good at making friends. Yeah. Women are really good at connecting and building relationships and having conversations. And yes, it's terrifying. I always say we've got the most brave community members ever. So brave, so badass, because walking in those doors on their own is scary as heck. It's terrifying. But once you've done that bit, having a chat, saying, hey, my name's Holly and my 3 favourite things are X, Y, and Z. Or, oh my gosh, where do you live? Oh, we live down the road from each other. Have you been to that new bar?
Yeah.
Or have you been to that new matcha place? Women are really quite good at that. And it's really beautiful to see. That was kind of the difference that we had. But COVID hit and I went, oh, flip. Can't, literally the one thing that was our big thing was meeting in person. You can't do that anymore. But actually, and so I thought the community was going to die. I was like, okay, by the time I come, like COVID's back and not here anymore, we're back in London, we're back doing everything that we were doing pre-COVID, the community won't exist because it will die. The opposite happened. We over tripled in size throughout the pandemic because I think the stat was something crazy, like 200 to 300,000 20s and 30s left London during the pandemic, most of whom didn't return. But also I think a lot of people realised that so much of their social circle, so much of their interaction, their social battery and their fun was with people from work.
Yeah.
And we weren't doing that anymore. So our digital forums and our Facebook community suddenly popped off. It was, oh my gosh, we can meet one person outside of our bubble. Does anybody live on the same bit of Clapham Common as me? Or does anybody else live in the same bit of Belsize Park and you want to meet in the middle and I'll bring you a cake and if you bring this and we'll go for a walk. And it was really beautiful to see. And so we came out of the pandemic in such a different place than when we started because we entered the pandemic with about 1,000 community members. We over tripled in size by the time we kind of came out of that. And we went from doing events for sort of maybe 10, 12 people. Our first event after the pandemic, we had to have a cut-off because at that point, outside you could still only meet with 30 people.
Yeah.
And those 30 tickets went in three minutes.
Wow.
And it was like, okay, wow.
Yeah.
And we continued to grow, continued to doing our meetups. And then when we were allowed back inside again, we were able to do more things. And we started to grow and fit. And I was going back with like, okay, how do we make this? How do we keep this going? Because I've made incredible friends. I know this work. I can't stop now.
Yeah.
Women need this. People who are feeling just like I did when I arrived. But also this, I was also needing it because so many of my friends that I made pre-pandemic didn't come back to London.
Yeah.
And it was just this journey of, okay, what does this look like? And we were then doing a couple of things a month, but actually every single thing we were doing was selling out. So I needed to add more in. So then we kind of had a couple of ambassadors join our team, which was terrifying because I am a bit of a control freak on occasion. Yeah. And me being there and making sure that the vibe and the ethos and the welcome was exactly what we needed it to be was terrifying. But that was the only way it was going to work. I was already doing 2 or 3 events, just me a month. If we wanted to do more, I need more people. Yeah. Like I literally did not have the hours in the week or the month. So we had a couple of ambassadors join the team, 2 of whom are still with us, still help every single month or every sort of 6 weeks, which is incredible. And their time and their energy and their support and their kindness is like one of the reasons why the community is where it is. But then as time went on, it was right, okay, we're going to need to formalize this a bit more. We're going to need to put more processes in place, like all the boring stuff that I never wanted to do, that insurance and risk assessments that you're like, this is not why I started this. But now when you're talking about, oh, wow, okay, we've got 100 girls going for a walk through Battersea Park, you have to like, there's a bit extra level here. And then we brought in our newsletter and we got our own website and then TikTok happened, which same as many communities and many businesses, TikTok really catapulted our growth. We then featured in some national press, which was bizarre and wonderful. And being able to share our story there was beautiful. And that really, again, helped us to grow. And then just over 2 years ago, so in August, it was a girl from our London community came to me and said, Holly, I'm moving to Manchester. What do I do? I need this. And at this point, our TikTok had been kind of growing and growing and growing. And all I was suddenly hearing was, what about Manchester? What about Birmingham? What about Edinburgh? What about Leeds? What about Sheffield? What about Bath? We need this here. We need this here. When are you coming to my city? And it was something I never considered because I what I first thought was a Holly issue. I then realised, okay, other women feel like I do. Other women are feeling lonely and disconnected and looking for community. And then I just thought it was a London issue and then realised, oh, wait, it's not just a London issue. This is bigger than just one city. Yeah. And then as time's gone on now and I've spoken to more people and learned a lot more, wow, this is a global issue. It doesn't matter whether you're small town, big town, whether you're in the UK, the US, Australia, Spain. But it's been a slow and steady journey. I think a lot of people see where we are today, where the community is today, and think that's kind of where we've always been. And you know, we started with 5 girls going for coffee and pancakes in Covent Garden.
That's amazing. It's crazy. It went literally from pancakes for 5 of you in Covent Garden to literally 100,000, over 150,000 people. Yeah. I think I just have so many questions on this. I think it's amazing because firstly, it's lovely that you are looking at obviously other people needing it, and it was really driven by your, I guess, like passion to help other people as well, and realize obviously you could empathize, you knew what it could feel like. But then to actually almost make this a mission and let it overtake your whole life, basically, because you can't run something like this without it. I can imagine you're thinking about it 24/7.
Yeah.
It sounds like you work all the time.
Yes, yep.
Because how does your life look like now? Because obviously now this is a business, right? Like you are the founder of a business. I'm guessing you have people like employees. Do you? Is it still just ambassadors and it's yourself?
Yeah, so it was a really lovely compliment. I got this, I was at a meeting last week and the person I was talking to went, oh yeah, like your members of staff in this. And I said, yeah, I don't have any members of staff.
Oh my God.
And she went, what do you mean? And so I explained our situation and she was like, oh, with the way that it's run and everything, how it comes across, it looks like there's a big team and it's a really like big structure. And I was like, I'll take that as a compliment, thank you, of my organisational skills. But no, so I only went full-time with the organisation last November, so just coming up to a year. So I, for 6 and a bit years, was volunteer CEO, founder, ran it alongside my corporate marketing jobs in various different, I worked after the health technology company, I then moved into a very well-known jewellery business. Then I worked in a gifting business, did it all alongside. So evenings, weekends, lunch breaks.
Wow.
By the time I did go full-time last year, burnout had hit in a really terrible way, in a way that I probably should have gone full-time earlier. But for me, although we are set up as a business, we're a social action business. We don't have shareholders. I'm not answerable to a finance person sat in an office somewhere. I'm answerable to the women in our community. All of the money that gets made as a circular system goes back into supporting more people, doing more things, which is amazing. But it then means that everything is run on very tight margins, very shoestring budgets, trying to make things as incredible as we can whilst wanting to make things as accessible as we can, because making friends should be something which is open for everyone. Finding community, finding your people, finding your safe space should be something which is open for everyone.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a challenge, but it's the one that I have now created for myself.
Yeah.
And we have freelancers that we work with in certain areas. So I've got an accountant, because although I'm very good at a spreadsheet from my years in marketing, the HMRC bit, the government bit, know nothing about. So I've got an accountant and we have someone who's a web developer that designed our website, and we've got someone that helps with graphic design, got someone that helps with socials, but they're all freelance, so it's very ad hoc, depending on like so with our web design, once the website got built, it's only if there's a problem that I'm like, please help. And then apart from that, we've got an incredible volunteer team across the country, which is incredible, and the amount of love and support and time and energy that my team put in, that they give to help women and help themselves, and is just spectacular and it's stunning. And the way that women do show up for each other has been something which has been so remarkable to me, as someone that had a really negative experience with girls and women when I was at school, to now see the way that women do show up for each other and can be so kind and empowering and lovely and supportive is spectacular, and has been like transformational for my life.
I just think that's actually insanely impressive that you did that alongside your job, because even like I find it hard to organize like a dinner with friends alongside working, let alone having this whole like machine running in the background, organizing all these events, like even coming up with ideas of like you do such exciting events as well. So you go to football games, do like Pilates, you do probably like drinks, and there's book clubs, and I'm just trying to like think of all these like, activities that I just see you put on that's so like, accessible to all these different people and their interests, and then to organise that for massive groups of people in your lunch breaks, evenings and weekends is kind of astounding. I'm so glad that you've gone full time.
Yeah, me too. It was a long journey, and there was stuff going on in my day job as well, and it got to the point where I was like, I can't do both anymore. I'd gone down to 4 days. And the problem was I was still working 5 days worth, but just in 4 days in my day job. And I got to the point where it was like, I can't do this anymore. I was burnt out, and it was not serving or honouring anyone. It wasn't helping me. I'm a big champion of mental health and well-being for my friends, my family, my team, anyone that's around me, our community. But I wasn't doing that for myself.
Yeah.
But also I wasn't honouring either the team at my day job, Lonely Girls Club team, our community members who for me deserve the world. This was not helping anyone. And we have a partner that we work with who's sort of our formal mental health partner that we also run retreats and events with, who their team are amazing. And I've really connected with one of their founders because she's also a woman in her late 20s building a business. And it's always really lovely to meet people kind of who get what you're banging on about half the time. And she saw me about a month before I finished my my marketing job, and then saw me about a month after. So probably about a 2-month gap, somewhere around there. And I remember she looked at me and went, "You're like a different person.
Wow.
Like you're literally a different person."
Yeah, you're like glowing.
Yeah, or it was just, I was sleeping.
Yeah.
I had time to think. I had time to process. And now I look back and I go, how the flip did I do that? That was silly. That was daft. But at the same time, I think I'm someone that, this is probably the opposite of every bit of business advice that anyone ever gives on podcasts, but I'm quite cool. Although a lot of people will describe me as very brave with the decisions that I've made and the steps that I've taken, I am also quite cautious. I'm a very deep thinker. Often on to a very negative degree, overthink things, think about everything. Everything's always going on. So it means that I've considered every option, every direction. What do we do? Crisis managed before crisis has even happened, to know that, okay, if I am being quite cautious, even sometimes people will say, "Oh, that was a really rash decision." I'm like, no, I've been thinking about this for a while. Yeah. It's just when it finally verbalizes from me. Yeah. But being cautious and doing things on a shoestring and bootlegging everything has got us to where we are. And I often hope means that community members know that actually this is authentic. We're doing this for the real reasons. This wasn't just set up in the last 18 months because all these headlines have come out about loneliness, and suddenly people who are long-term entrepreneurs want to jump into a space, that actually this is really about making change and lasting change and growing something that can be there to support women for years to come, which means that actually slow and steady wins the race sometimes is the right thing. Often it's not. And I've been learning a lot about scarcity mindsets and some of the things that I have been reading and listening to and YouTube videos and stuff over the last few months, and actually realised, maybe my slow and steady wins the race mindset was actually the right track and not rushing. Although, again, some people in my life think that some things I'm like, you've done loads really quickly. I'm like, it feels quite slow to me. Yeah. Sure.
I think, though, I can see exactly what you mean in the sense that you built up this frame that you knew could withstand, obviously, the growth. And it probably does feel quick, but obviously for you, this is something you've been thinking about for years. And then you'd made sure you got to the point where you could go full time, know that you'd built everything around
that could pay my bills.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's a really important thing, right? Like if you don't have something to lean back on, it's not as easy as thinking, well, I'm going to take a leap. It's like, well, yeah, maybe if you have a support system in the background, but obviously for a lot of people that's not the case. And it's so important to know that you're safe to actually venture out and quit your job. And obviously we're always more cautious, I think especially women as well, when we've built it, and not thinking, is what I've built good enough to withstand, to pay myself? And also even the guilt, because I bet there's guilt from you because you're doing it because out of passion, because you love it. It probably was a difficult moment to think, I'm going to have to pay myself with this. And I, knowing you from what you've been speaking about and how passionate you are, actually getting up the courage to say, I'm actually going to have to pay myself and make this my full-time job. And you absolutely deserve to be paid for it. But that's also a difficult conversation to have with yourself.
Absolutely. And I always begrudge charging for our events. I still remember that when we started charging, it was actually because we'd had a few events where we did a lot back in the day, particularly with London. We do it for our small locations still, but with London, it's a lot more tricky when you're trying to go out with like 90 people. Yeah. We did a lot of food-based events, brunches, lunches, dinners. And the amount of times there was an issue with the bill at the end, someone had left without paying, someone had not added their extra wine on, or someone had, even if it was just like the staff had added an extra meal from a different table on, I always covered that. I was like, I'm the organizer, I sort that. And we had this, I occurred a few times, and then a few community members came to me and said, you should start charging, because it was ticketed, so like you had to get a ticket, which was a free ticket. you need to start charging because you shouldn't be paying for this yourself. So we just started charging £1 per event, just so that if there was a problem with the bill, then we could cover that a little bit. But as time goes on, you start to build an organisation like this, whether it's website fees, ticketing costs, insurance, risk assessments, government fees, compliance, you name it. There's everything that comes up that is ridiculous at times.
Yeah.
And I once had somebody in person come up and ask me, say, why they didn't, I don't think, mean to come across as like harsh as they sounded, but did ask and was like, why are we being charged for this? And I explained, and they went, oh, I'd never even considered any of that.
Yeah.
Like, and the fact that our members don't have to consider that is really important to me. The only thing that they need to think about is getting themselves in the room, putting their big girl pants on in a lot of cases because it's terrifying, saying hi to someone, introducing themselves and having a good time.
Yeah.
That's what their priority needs to be, because ultimately they're here to connect and meet new people and have fun.
Yeah.
They don't need to think about all
The
that
risk
boring
and
bits, the
insurance.
risk and the insurance and the HMRC fees and the data protection fees and all this. And you have to cover that somehow. So that was when where that all led in. And then, as you say, starting to pay yourself, particularly when you are running a community and a community-based work, so much of that can feel really difficult to align with finance.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Particularly then as women in the UK, we don't talk about money. Women, we don't talk about money.
Yeah.
And so it's a terrible combination of all those three things, and something which, you know what, hopefully one day I'll figure out a bit better.
Yeah.
But at the moment, we're kind of on a bit of a balancing edge of working out how that feels still accessible, because accessibility is such a pillar of what we do at Lonely Girls Club, at making sure that we are that space where a woman can come in. Where I know when I first moved to London, I was on an intern salary. There was lots of communities, particularly in the marketing world, that you could join, but it was all 60, 70, 80 plus pounds a month. Yeah. That wasn't accessible for me. And making sure that at what we do, women can get involved and not feel priced out or on the outside looking in, because that's the opposite of the point.
Yeah, I love that. And I think what your community represents to me is something that I feel so strongly about. So I am like the biggest girls girl. I love my girl friendships, and I host like dinner parties. I hosted a self-love dinner party the other week.
Amazing.
And made them write down what they loved about themselves. I hosted like a female empowerment dinner party last year, and it's more because I just think that they're so important, like female friendships, or just friendships in general, to be honest. But I like what you said earlier, there is something about women coming together and supporting each other that is so powerful. And kind of like you, I don't feel like I always had that. I think at school, I struggled to find like certain groups, and, you know, there's this idea that you should have best friends or like a group of friends. And I found like more my people at uni, but also I think, and I hate to admit it, but when I was at school, I think I had like a few boyfriends. You kind of lean on them, and then you don't nurture your female friendships as much. And it's only been the last few years that I've like realised the importance and just almost smothered my friends, and I loved them so intensely. So I'd love to talk to you kind of, and you touched on this earlier, but what this has taught you about the importance of female friendships. And if you don't mind talking about, you mentioned when you were younger at school, you didn't have the best experience with female friendships, kind of what that looked like and what you've learned from seeing all these amazing women supporting each other and you.
Lonely Girls Club and the way that I've seen women show up for each other has been transformational in my healing and my experience of women in general. As I think I mentioned, primary school and secondary school was really heavily bullied by other girls. At secondary school, it was by girls that were my quote-unquote friends, women and girls who should have been and had my back, loved me, supported me. But actually, and my dissertation was all about, when I look back, it's one of the most ironic, but clearly there was a path coming. most of my dissertation was about female friendships and bullying. And how my dad he was doing a big clear out, found my dissertation, and which was sort of a final major project really. And he showed my stepmom, who didn't know me at this point, and she literally was like taken aback at how on the nose, like all the research I'd done, all the work I'd done was. And what I'd found was that for so many girls, research showed that unlike with boys, and this is a generalization, for boys often if they get bullied, it's often much more physical. It's by someone that they would not consider a friend or a peer. It's often someone who, the big bully on the playground, beating somebody up or stealing someone's lunch money. But with girls, it's often their group of friends. It's often the people that are meant to be there for them. That just aren't, in the ilk of Mean Girls, where it's calling somebody else fat won't make you any skinnier, but often that is exactly what, particularly teenage girls who have got hormones raging in every direction, who are taking out probably their inner pain on those closest to them. But that was awful. There wasn't a week in secondary school probably where I didn't go home in tears. People will talk about how school was the best days of their life. You could not pay me all the money in the world to go back to that time in my life. And I've had very bad times in my life over the last, since 15-ish years since I left school. But that was awful. And it really then put me in a place where I did not trust other women, did not trust girls. I kind of thought everybody was going to be like this. Everyone was going to be someone that would be nice to your face, but every word that they said had a bit of an underpinning. Or everything they said was always a bit of a dig at the same time. And there was just, kindness was nowhere to be seen. And then I went to university and I met some of my best friends, two of whom I'm still so incredibly close to now. And then I moved to London. And I was going to work, the aim was to work in fashion. So I'd not got the best vision of what that might look like. I kind of came into it with a bit of like my breath held, because fashion never had the best reputation when it came to how people treat each other. And then the world of work wasn't where I found my people. But seeing how women show up for each other, how they stand up for each other, how they connected, even if it's just in our digital communities and someone pops a post in that says, I've just moved to London, I live in Southwest, can someone give me a recommendation of a hairdresser, please? Or I've just moved to North London and I need a new person to do my nails. And everyone jumps in. Or someone's gone through a breakup and wants a group to go on a night out with, and you see the reams of comments. Or just the way that our events, women will listen and connect and support. The way that our team has grown, the women that have just stepped in the gap and said, I want to be involved and help and I want to support people. It's been spectacular and stunning and so healing for me from my past experiences. And then those friendships that I personally have built, the way that people show up for each other, care for each other, check in, is stunning. And it's lovely and it's beautiful and it's hilarious and it's ridiculous. And that's what female friendship is meant to be. But it's taken me until my mid to late 20s to really get to that point, to heal from some of my past experiences and realize that, oh, wow, this is actually so incredibly life-giving and life-changing and supportive and kind and beautiful, which really makes me so much more sad for past me, but very glad for current me.
Yeah. That honestly makes me feel like quite emotional. So obviously so sorry that you feel like that. And I just think it is so hard when it's the people that are meant to be close to you and love you that then treat like that. And I think you hit the nose on the head, where it's often just a reflection of their inner pain. Yeah. And you can try and help people, but I've got to the point in my life where it's like I now have such beautiful people in my life, like you said, who like show up and support. I actually have no tolerance for people who aren't in that space, so they need to deal with the inner pain elsewhere. If they're going to reflect that onto other people, of course. Yeah. If lovely people go through a hard time, it's
different. A very different thing. Yeah. And often it's to do with heart and motivation, how you're treating people. That if someone's just going through a rubbish time and they can't show up as their 100% self at that point in time, that's okay. That's so normal. Like, everyone goes through crap. Everyone's got stuff going on. And sometimes you just can't be even 80% of yourself. If you're just treating people horribly, that's a very different universe. And it's so okay to have anxiety, to be having a bad week, to be having a bad day, to be having a bad year. And to know that there's people that are going to stick with you. Because I think I've seen a lot of discourse online, particularly over the last few years, of just get rid of anyone that's bringing bad energy or low vibrations into your life. And I think that's also quite a harmful way of looking at it, because often those people are going through rubbish. They're breaking up with partners, they're losing parents, they're getting made redundant, they're having miscarriages, they're having house buying situations fall through. And life is tough.
Yeah.
And people can't always give their friends or their family, their loved ones 100%.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they're a bad person.
No.
Sometimes life's just a bit rough.
Yeah. And that's the whole point of friendship, isn't it? It's like carry each other through that.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that you say your dissertation was, like, the fact that that was your dissertation is almost like you were literally meant to do this work. It's like everything was building up to this moment.
Yeah.
And I think what I love about your community, and I saw actually, like, it was a TikTok post, or you posted on LinkedIn, and it was literally someone made a video about how lonely they were, and people from your community were literally commenting, go and look at the Lonely Girls Club. And the fact that it was random women doing that for other women, seeing their pain, and then bringing them to your club, I just think that must have been such a proud moment. Because also it just underpins, firstly, what we were saying about how amazing women can be to each other. I mean, even strangers. Yeah. But also the fact that that is what your organisation now represents. It's like, come into this lovely community that we've got you. We don't even know you. Yeah. But like, this is the place for you. It's almost like you've healed your child, your inner like child, but also you're like just going around healing all these women who are struggling.
Yeah, it's always so lovely to see whenever stuff like that crops up. And that TikTok video obviously went completely viral, but it's not the first one that has happened where someone has put a really open, honest post on the internet, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, wherever, just saying, I feel like so lonely. I don't have a girl group of friends. I'm working at weekends just to go in and do something. I haven't met my people. I feel so weird and uncomfortable. And then our notifications start going nuts, and we start getting loads of new followers, or the newsletter spikes by 1,000 new people in 24 hours. It sometimes will take a while to go, where's this come from? And then to see that, and to see that women value our community, have made such incredible connections, that we've been able to make that impact on them, that they want to recommend us to other people, is mind-boggling and so spectacular. As someone that spent nearly 10 years working in marketing, customer reviews and customer feedback are like one of the biggest parts of that. Yeah. And we don't do that very intentionally, because if people want to recommend us, they want to give positive testimonials, we want them to do that of their own accord. I want it to be a bit of a word of mouth spread that meant that this was authentic, this was real. People recommend Lonely Girls Club because they love it and they enjoy it, or they've found a benefit from it, not because we're going to give them 10% off in a newsletter if they give a review on Trustpilot, which there's nothing wrong with that. And that works incredibly well for product-based businesses. But actually for me, it's always been about real people and real humans and real human experiences. And I had a funny story this week, actually, that in our building in where I live, someone was giving away a fruit bowl for free. So my housemate messaged in the group chat. I was like, I'll have it. And she ran down, and the girl had recently been through a breakup and had said, oh, she's getting out there, wants to meet new people. A lot of people in our building are a bit older, so it was cool to meet someone her own age. And I think my housemate got chatting to her, and the girl was like, oh, well, I've just joined this community called Lonely Girls Club. Have you heard of it? And my housemate was like, yes, I have heard of that. But yes,
you the founder.
Yeah, she's like, but you should go. It's great. And actually, my housemate sometimes helps their book club. So she was saying, if you like reading, like, you should come. I'll be there. But it's just so funny. Like one of my very, very close friends was once with a group of her friends that she met through the community on a night out, and they got talking to this group of boys, and one of the boys said to them, how did you guys meet? And they were like, well, we're not going to go into the full-blown detail on a random night out. So they were, we met through a Facebook group. And he went, oh, my girlfriend met all her friends through this Facebook group. Was it the Lonely Girls Club? And they were like, yeah. And she texted me the next morning, and I was like, that's wild. And that's what we want, the aim, and what I would love to hear in the stories that just make me laugh, because that's the point. It's about women showing up for each other, supporting each other, having that safe space to go, oh, I've really benefited from this, or I've met my people, or I've met a housemate, or I found a yoga buddy, or I managed to find the best hairdresser ever. You should join too. And you'll find, and everyone connects in with what we do differently. For some people, they find a yoga buddy. For some people, they find traveling partners. For some people, they find housemates. Some people, they meet their ride or die best friend, and all of that is so okay. And it doesn't look the same for everyone. As long as you're connecting and meeting people and getting out there and meeting others in a way that aligns with what you need at that point in time, because it's different for everyone, then that's magic.
Yeah. And you've obviously spoken about a few moments that were like really amazing, obviously, to hear how other people have connected or see people have heard of it and, you know, it's bringing people together. But are there any moments that really stand out in your head where you're like, this is worth it all, like all this hard work that I've been doing, the like long nights or like the burnout, like this is almost like why I have to keep going? Is there anything that springs to mind? Or there's just so many?
There's a few. And the funny thing with Lonely Girls Club is that often I don't necessarily hear all the success stories because people tail off or we won't really see them or they'll just connect in digitally. So often I won't necessarily know all the things that have happened. And last year we launched our Nottingham branch. It's going to be 2 in January. And I had a girl, I was at the second event that we did, and a girl came up to me and she went, "Hey Holly, insert name here. I just wanted you to know your community changed my life." And I'm still like going, "Excuse me? This is the second event for the Nottingham community. Like, we've only been going for like a couple of months."
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, tell me a bit about that." I don't think I quite said it that way. I probably said it a bit more eloquently. Turns out she'd been in our London community for 3 years, met her best friends through the group, and she was originally from the Midlands and had moved back for work and had said Lonely Girls Club transformed her time in London. She met her best friends, housemates, people that she went on holiday with multiple times, girls that she spoke to every single day through the community. And so when she moved back home to the Midlands and we heard we were opening in Nottingham, she thought, well, it's a no-brainer that I've got to join. This is like the best thing ever. And I was just so dumbfounded. I was so overwhelmed. And she was someone that I'd never met, had never been to one of our events. A few of her group of girls had, but the rest of them, they'd all connected digitally and then met up in person and gone to a bottomless brunch in Clapham. And it was just stunning. And I was so shocked and so overwhelmed. I think she was like, yeah, I'm fine, thank you. But it was just beautiful and it's lovely. And the stories like that of the way that we've been able to support people. I know there's a group of 5 girls at the minute who are currently who met through the community who are on safari in Botswana.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just, it's wild. And at times it's really hard for me to comprehend.
Yeah.
It was like I went to the Eras tour last year as half of the women in the world went to. And my best friend went to Wembley and she elbowed me and went, "You couldn't fit everybody in Wembley anymore. Like if you booked at Wembley Stadium and every single community member turned up, you couldn't fit them in there." And I was like, wow,
that's crazy.
That's wild. And that was never the point. No. Numbers were never the point. And for me, when you start talking about numbers, that's incredible. The growth and the number of people we have is amazing. But each one of those numbers is a person. Each one of those is a human being that at some point has felt some sort of struggle, has felt lonely, has wanted to grow their social circle, has felt down, has felt anxious, has felt like they haven't got their people. And that's a real human, not just a number behind a screen. Yeah.
I can imagine it's so hard to understand or like just wrap your head around the impact you have because like you said, there's people that you have no idea even exist and they'll be talking about they're doing a girl club. And also I think it's funny because I just imagine everyone sees you as like this amazing big sister, you know? That's like
the funny thing is that some people do, and like I've had someone, I was once at a Swift Together night and a girl ran over to me, "Are you Holly?" I was like, yeah, I think so. But then other people will have no clue who I am, no idea. And if you go on our Instagram, I'm probably on it a bit more now than I have been. But I am not necessarily like all over everything.
Yeah.
Because it's not about me.
Yeah.
Yes, my story is a big part of why we exist. And for some people, I am very much Holly the founder, Holly the big sister, Holly that will be the person that for a good portion of our events is there to welcome you and we'll have a good chat and we'll ask about the book you're reading and wants to know about how your dog's doing. And I have got an annoyingly good memory. It's very helpful for what I do with Lonely Girls Club. It's annoying to all my friends and family. It winds them up because I don't really forget things. I'm not the best with names, but I don't forget face. If you come to one of our events, even if you've just been in a picture, I'm like, "Oh, you came to that one and you sat there." So I try and be that person, but at the same time, there's some people that don't know who I am, which is brilliant. Yeah. Which is great. And if you think of Holly before you think of Lonely Girls Club. That's not the point. The point is that this is a community, it's a safe space, that our members and our women who are in the community are just as important, if not more important than I am.
Yeah. And so obviously now it's gotten to where it is, it's 150,000, 7 branches. Are you thinking about how it's going to look in another few years? Like, what does that look like to you?
Always thinking about it. Every minute of every day, always thinking about it. And it's exciting. I think for me, when I boil it down, we want to have a branch in every city in the country. We want to be where a woman doesn't have to be less than half an hour from plugging into us. And in different cities, that's a bit different, because for London, people travel an hour across London every day, and that's no problem. In other of our cities, people drive, but they won't go more than 50 minutes from home, and you have to learn that. But for me, having hubs, having a city branch in every city, or if not town in the country, where a woman knows that there's something going on most weeks or most months, or they can pop into a digital forum on the Facebook community and go, hey guys, I've got a question, or I've just seen this thing is coming to near us. Does anyone want to join me? That's the aim. And to ensure that women have that support, they know they're not alone, that they've got a community they can plug into, whether that's digitally, whether that's in person, whether that's via Instagram, whether that's via a book club that they come to every single month. That's the goal.
Yeah.
I think this year alone, we've opened 3. So we started the year with 4, like at London, Nottingham, Manchester, we started with 4. By the end of the year, we will at least be on 7, if not 8. We'll have doubled our number of cities, which is also wild.
Yeah.
But it's stunning, and it's something that I've learned, because often I go out, some of the city branches, I've like launched them, other ones I will go like every couple of months or every quarter, and I've realised I could live anywhere. There's women everywhere, there's good people everywhere, there's independent businesses and independent coffee shops and good bars and good bookshops. There's lovely people everywhere.
Yeah.
Often the issue is having a space to find them, which is where we come in.
Yeah. I think that's such an amazing belief and like knowledge to have, because it just gives you that freedom and that power to think I can go anywhere and I know that I'll be okay. And that just completely opens up your horizons. And I just can't help but think the impact that you're having, because not only are you connecting women like who are lonely, obviously helping them in that way, but obviously when someone feels safe, they've got a space to go to, they are no longer feeling lonely, they have friends, they're then just so much more powerful. Like, you're also just uplifting all these people who will then hopefully go on to do other amazing things. And I just think by the time you're done, surely there's not going to be a single woman in the UK who feels lonely at the weekend, which is really exciting.
That would be the hope.
Yeah.
I think one of the things as well that I've learned, and I'm consistently learning, is that loneliness looks different to different people. And for me, for example, when I went full-time with the business, loneliness then came into my life in a different way, because I was spending all my daytimes alone.
Yeah.
And there's, I think, this misconception that you make a group of friends and you stick with them for life, which I think a lot of that comes from like British primary school kind of TV shows, films. It's okay if that changes. It's okay if someone was in our community 5 years ago and they made incredible friends, but all their friends are having babies and they're not. That's not for them. So they want to reconnect in 5 years later, not because they don't like their friends, not because their friends are bad, not because they're not friends anymore, but because they want more friends. They want more people they want to add to their amazing circle of maybe just people that are in that stage of life that they're at, or that they just want to meet someone that loves the same theatre as they do.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And that can look different to different people. And I think that, as we talked about earlier, it can feel so taboo to be lonely, even if you are surrounded by people, even if you've got a partner, you've got children, you've got a family, but it's still so normal, because we need different kinds of love. We need different kinds of community. We need different kinds of connection. And the hope is that we can be there for people at different life stages. You know, in 15 years, if suddenly loads of women who are in our community now jump back in because they've become empty nesters, that's so fine.
Yeah. Because I think it's funny how loneliness can come from not the lack of friends, but the lack of people who understand you in that moment in time. So, for example, you get a new passion, like becoming a founder. I know so many founders who feel so lonely because people just don't understand what they're going through. They don't understand the fact that you actually have to get up and motivate yourself every day. No one's telling you, holding you accountable for that other than yourself and obviously your community. No one really understands like the grind or the burnout and You know, so actually just suddenly going into that phase of your life, you could have, like you said, your amazing friends from uni, your community, but then you might actually just need a founder who's going through the same thing that you can pick up the phone to be like, isn't this so tough? Like, I need to come and cry on our sofa or you're answering emails in the background.
Yeah, exactly that. And there's no shame. There should be no shame in admitting to being lonely, but the internet and like going back to when I was younger, magazines, TV shows with shows like the Sleepover Club or St. Trinians, which always glorified these girl gangs and these groups of women. And now social media is everywhere you turn is hen do's, girls' weekends, people going to bottomless brunch, people doing this, doing that. It can be really tricky if you feel like you've not got what everyone else seems to have. Yeah. But actually, that's so not real. It's an illusion. And when the stats say that at least 50% of Brits feel lonely at least some of the time, if not more, you can't be alone in that. And in a way, that's why we stuck with the Lonely Girls Club name, because we have had people say, oh, it's a bit negative. But actually, it's taking that negativity and turning it into a positive, saying it's okay to be lonely. Yeah. We just don't want you to stay that way.
Yeah, yeah. And this might sound like a bit of an interesting question, but obviously in society at the moment, there's a big conversation around, I guess, the male loneliness epidemic. And I'm such a big believer that I think women need a space for themselves. And I think obviously sometimes they can be pushed back on that because, well, you know, what about men? And I'm just interested, do you ever get pushback from being the Lonely Girls Club and it being for women only?
Yeah, all the time. And I have since met some founders that run communities for men. So whenever I respond back and say, hi, why don't you check out X, Y, or Z? Then it's silent. And a lot of the people that are complaining or being critical that were just for women is typically men and not men that it's like, well, get out there and do something about it. There is communities for men. There's communities like Andy's Man Club. There's run clubs. There's choirs. There's football teams. There's book clubs. There's communities which are mixed gender. And for me, having that safe space for women, safe space is something which I come back to again and again and again and again about how we do things, what's ingrained and what runs through how we work. Walking into a room and not having to worry about someone's motivations. So I've got friends that have been to mixed gender events and some of them have loved them and some of them have hated them. Now, equally, some people might come to female-only events and some people will love it and some people will hate it. Yeah. But I also have friends that have gone to mixed gender events, whether it's networking through work, whether it's been sports, you name it. And there's always a story from something being a bit creepy or someone feeling a bit uncomfortable or not knowing if someone's talking to them just because they want to connect and make friends or if they've got another reason. But also women's safety is such a problem. Like 1 in 3, 1 in 4 women will go through some sort of abuse, sexual assault, harm by a man in their lifetime. Having a space where you can just walk in and go, it's just me and my girls, or me and a new amazing group of girls, I think is so needed. Yeah. And do men deserve those spaces too? Absolutely. And I think it's wonderful to see organisations like ones like Andy's Man Club growing, developing. Their community does incredible work, and there's other ones that I think I've started to see pop up, which is incredible. Yeah. Because men need that too. The male loneliness epidemic is huge, and suicide is the biggest way that men in this society are dying. And men experience loneliness and disconnection just like women do. And we at one point looked at doing a brother branch for men. Problem was we didn't have a man to lead it and to help with it. And so that's maybe a job, that's probably a different conversation, a job for a different day. So the option for men is there. Like often with some of our York branch, no, it was our Edinburgh branch, which we just opened early this summer. When I asked the community member who was leading that, who is sort of our main person in that city, why do you want to be involved? She said, well, I can either sit at home and complain or I can get out and do something about it. And I was like, that's such a cool way to look at it. And in a way, that's exactly where Learn the Girls Club came from. Was I can either sit at home and be sad that I don't know anyone, or I can go out and try and find people and create something to help me and maybe help other people.
Yeah.
And I think that opportunity is there for men too. So go for it. Set up that book club, start that run club, start that meet up group for all the guys that like the same football team that you do. Go for it.
Yeah, and I just agree with that so strongly, because creating community for one group of people doesn't mean that you're trying to exclude the opportunity for them to also find a community or saying that it's any more important, but people need different space for different things. And, you know, I work in the finance world. I remember being at this conference, and it was like a women's conference for like an industry event for many women. There's very few men there. And I was talking to a lady that I work with who's been in the industry for over 20 years, been to loads of conferences. And I remember she said to me, I was like, you know, how you finding it? She's like, I've never felt so light. Like, I've never felt so light at a conference. And it's because there is something different that comes in being in a space where it's only women and it's about empowering and celebrating women. You know, you do come up against all sorts of challenges in male-dominated spaces, or, you know, even not male-dominated spaces. Like you said, I think it's one woman gets killed by a man in the UK every 3 days. 1 in 3 women will experience like sexual assault or sexual violence in their lifetime across the world. So there is an issue there, and it is important to have that space dedicated for women. And so I just think what you've created is like, amazing. And I see we've actually been talking for quite a while, kind of to the end of the session, but I wanted to take it back to younger Holly. And I'd just love to know what advice you'd give her now, looking at where you are.
Which younger Holly? Because I feel like I'm someone who there's been, even me from a year ago or me from 18 months ago is such a different person. And you're not the first person to ask me this question. I'm not the first one to ask the question back, because there's Holly that started Lonely Girls Club when she first moved to London, or there's Holly when I went to uni and was terrified that no one was going to like me because no one had liked me at school. There was Holly that was at school that was being bullied and never felt liked or validated or like anyone wanted me to be in their crew. And I think those people would probably need very different advice.
Let's go back to you at school and then you when you first started Lonely Girls Club.
I think when I was at school, it's a bit of a funny one, because part of me just kind of wants to say to me at school, me at like 13, 14, 15, just don't be friends with them anymore. But I also know exactly what I would reply, which is, but I don't want to sit on my own at lunchtime. I don't want to be that person that's sat in the canteen on my own. And I think I wish I would tell her to be braver, even though she was incredibly brave. I think I have only really learned to stand up and advocate for myself in the last sort of 2 to 3 years. I was not someone that was very good at that. I'm not particularly good at conflict. I was definitely not good at conflict then. I think standing up for myself, being a bit more open with other people around me about what was going on, because a lot of people, most people had absolutely no idea. Like, if this goes out and a lot of people from like my teenagers saw it, they'd probably be quite shocked. Being honest, being open, but also knowing that those aren't good people and you don't need that in your life, and just hold on, because it does get better. I think hold on, it gets better is a big thing for me throughout my life. I've got a tattoo on the back of my arm which is of a sunrise, because for a long time my sort of daily mantra was the sun will rise and we'll try again. And just having that and knowing things do get better, keep going, although at the minute it feels like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. It's coming, but when you're that age and in that space, and this is your world is very small,
so
you don't know anything else.
I think that's really good advice. I love like sun imagery, like everyone about, because like, you know, just like the thought of shining so bright, and I feel like you're now like this beacon of light that's just kind of like spreading your rays across like this whole community of people. So I think it's very apt that you kind of use sun imagery. But yeah, thank you so much for your time today, and thank you so much for creating this amazing community. I hope like so many more people look into it and join it, and it just keeps growing. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you.